this is the entrance of the rock shelters. It's 50 rupees to get a two-wheeler in here. I think it's 100, 150 maybe for a four-wheeler. But there's no other ticketing system. Just have to pay to get your vehicle in here and then you're sorted. So we're just gonna wait here. We've got a guide that we're meeting up with and he's gonna show us around. And I'm not gonna film the actual guiding process because I don't think A, that it's fair to film him doing his job, and B, I want to give him my full attention and listen as much as I can while we're going around the first time. And then we will go around again the second time and I will tell you guys everything I've learned and I will show you what we're seeing. So let's go. Alright, I have just finished my guided tour and now I'm going to take you guys around with me. I didn't want to film whilst I was on the tour because I wanted to give the tour guide my full attention. But now I'm going to go around again, get the chance to take some pictures, some videos and show you everything that we've seen, and I will relay the information back to you guys. So the first thing to note here is how tall these rocks are, these rock shelters, and all of this was underwater at one point, covered in water, which is insane to think about how the sea levels have changed so much, and that is why they are so jagged. That is why there's so many holes in the rocks. They're not very smooth. There's so many lines running through them due to the direction of the water. So you see just how tall some of these rock shelters are up here. That's insane to think that all of these were underwater at one point, like hundreds of millions of years ago. So if we start off at rock shelter number 1, see there's some models of early Homo sapiens here. And here's the first set of cave paintings that you'll see coming in. So you can tell there's an elephant, someone riding an elephant, and then it looks like some kind of skeleton. It's about 2,000 years ago. They would have been dated back. They can tell this by the depictions of the animals, you know, whether people have domesticated them yet, and also by carbon dating. Some of the images have been carbon dated to know the exact time frame they were painted on. Now we have rock shelter number 2 here. Oh my goodness, and a little tiny bat is hanging up there. That's very sweet. So you're going to see what I mean here. We've already been round with a guide and I'm still trying to look for the paintings on rock shelter number 2. We've already been here and we've already been pointed out where these paintings are. And I can't see them anymore because some of them are just so faded and the colours blend in with the rocks. So, proves my point. I might not be able to show you whatever paintings were meant to be here. You see these rock paintings from about 5000 BC, I think. Got some kind of bison here. There's a peacock up there. You see the head and the tail feathers. An outline of someone's handprint, which I think is probably the coolest one I've seen so far, as it brings more of a human aspect to the paintings. Imagine being that person and your hand is just immortalized forever in your painting. And people thousands of years after you've even existed are still looking at that painting and seeing your handprint. That is very amazing. There's also some more stick figures that were added here. Very interesting to see. And this place that I'm walking through now is called the Auditorium. Because as you can probably hear, it's very echoey. Kind of works as an echo chamber, as you could probably hear in there. So people who were sat all the way up there would have been able to talk, and people sat inside the rock could have listened and heard everything that they said. You can also see on the rocks, especially over here, you see all the lines going through the rock. It's shaped by the movement of the water when it was underwater. Very crazy. The reason that there are no carvings in here, it's all kind of paintings, because this rock is very hard. If you touch it, it's way too hard to carve in. They use like a soft sandstone for temples. This is a very hard sandstone, so it would have been way too hard for them to carve into, which is why they ended up doing paintings for art instead. It's also very hard and shiny in some places due to the pressure of the water being on it from it being underwater for so long. And there's also this excavation site here. God, I'm hoping I don't drop my phone. So some tools have been found from the Stone Age, like spears, arrowheads. I think also some pottery, he said, was found here. And there was a skeleton that was found here as well. And that is now moved into a museum in Pune, which I was recently in Pune and I didn't go and see it, and I'm very annoyed at myself that I didn't know about that at the time. But maybe one day I'll get to go back and I'll get to see that. So if you're here and you're also going to Pune, don't forget to go and visit that skeleton. So here we have these things called cupules. Cupules? It's these kind of holes in the rock, and these have been found in Africa, other places where ancient humans would have existed. And we don't really know what they're for. It's maybe possibly where people were sharpening their tools in the rocks. But clearly they must have had a use. They haven't just been found here, they've been found all over. In the African savannah as well. So it's very, very interesting that this is a mark of humans from the very early ages. And you know, maybe one day technology will advance so much that we will have a definite answer what they were for. Here we are at Zoo Rock. It's been named Zoo Rock because of all the animals you can see drawn in the paintings. There's so many around here. These are actually the second oldest cave paintings in the world and the oldest in the whole of India. You can see there's a man sitting on a rock waiting to hunt. He's got the rock that he's sat on and the stick in his hand. Some deer. Over this way are lots of bison type animals. The ground actually used to be a bit taller. It's washed away due to the monsoons and everything. So that's how they reached up to do all of these paintings. Incredible. The level of preservation of these animals and these drawings, and it's just because of the fact that these places are so sheltered, so it's obviously covered from the rain, and it's just allowed them to be preserved for so long, which is really lucky. Otherwise we would have had no idea that they existed. It gives us kind of a real insight into the life back then, things that they found important, things that they wanted to paint about. So we've got a viewpoint to go to as well. And if you come up here, this allows people to see all over the valley, but no one can see you up here. It gives you quite a good vantage point for hunting and stuff in the olden days. And that rock right there is shaped just like a tortoise. It actually looks just like a tortoise. Like sometimes people say rocks look like something and they really don't. It's like it's been carved out to look like a tortoise, and that has just happened by erosion. Just by chance. Alright, walking down towards rock shelter number 8 now. So the whole area of this Bhimbetka, I think, was about 2 kilometers, because all of these caves were just in the jungle. This is just, it's not man-made, it's a place where people used to live. It's all come about naturally, so it's quite a big area to walk around. But there's so much to see. Before I came here, I assumed it would be maybe 1 or 2 caves with a few paintings on it. But it's incredible actually how much there is. And for free as well, to get to walk around here and see this history. It's amazing. So we're going to walk through here to rock shelter number 8. I can imagine in the rain this would be quite slippery. Luckily it's alright right now. So this one's quite high up actually. I have to zoom in a bit. I don't know if you can see it very well, but this is what all the paintings are up there. These are one of the more recent paintings. You can tell because of the people riding on the horse. The horse is very well decorated. Man riding on a horse there who is a king. And up the top there's a bunch of people on horses chasing a leopard, if you can make that out. Looks like they were hunting the leopards. And this set of paintings is from 2,000 years ago. So you can make out as well, there's some white coloured paintings underneath the red ones, and they seem to be older as the red ones are kind of overlapping them. It looks like people have come and just started drawing on top of the drawings that were already there. And if you zoom out, the whole head of this rock looks like the head of a leopard, if you can make that out. To get up here, the floor wouldn't have been that high, but people would have climbed on top of the rocks to get up there to do those paintings. Okay, and if we turn around from that rock, we have this cave in here, which we're gonna go inside now. This one doesn't have any paintings in that you can see anyway, but this is just a little cave where people used to live. And you see the top of it has gone all black, and there's some soot from them having fires in here. They would obviously light a fire to stay warm, to give them light to cook with, whatever they needed. And that in turn has made the ceiling all black. It's quite nice and cool in here. You can see why this area would have been a great place for people to live, especially in the jungle. You have all the food you need, all of the water from the jungle, caves that provide protection and a nice cool place to sleep, and shelter from the rain. I see why so many people used to live here. Like, there would have been hundreds, maybe thousands of people living in all of these rock shelters. More paintings in rock shelter number 7. It's just fascinating how many paintings they were. I guess it was the only way for them to kind of communicate what had happened to them, to future generations. Through to rock shelter number 9. It was also quite easy to get lost around here without a guide because there's loads of paths, and it was really nice to follow him and know that he knew where he was going. Now that I'm walking around on my own, I keep forgetting exactly where we were walking. Right, here is rock shelter number 9. You see this has some of the newest paintings in, the green and yellow colour. So the green was made from like bamboo, and the yellow was made from the soil. You can tell that these are some of the newest drawn paintings because see the detail in that horse right there? The way it's kind of drawn fancy, it's moving. It looks a lot like horses that you would see in paintings today. It's amazing that people can use these clues to kind of figure out what time period these were drawn in. So interesting to see how people's artistic styles differed between the time periods, with the domestication of animals, with the hunter-gatherer lifestyle, or historical milestones that indicated in these paintings. Some that you can see here as well. It's been kind of washed away, people there, and then a tree that's still showing a bit. Unfortunately, a lot of these paintings have been washed away by the weather. There's another example of paintings that have been washed away. You can make out here some stick figures. I think there would have been a lot more back when they were actually painted. But unfortunately, the erosion, the rain, the weather conditions has got rid of a lot of them. So this is pretty much all that's visible in cave number 11. It's also very nice and quiet walking around here. You see, it's not many people around here. Don't know if it's just I've got a lucky day or if it's generally this quiet, but I think this would be a massive tourist destination considering how amazing the history is and the fact that it's the second oldest paintings in the world. I expected there to be loads of people around, but I've only seen a few. Right, Joshua here. People have been saying they want him to talk more in my videos. Hi. So he's giving us a demonstration of what people would have used to make the ochre colour in their paintings.
So you see these leaves here, if you scrunch them up, it releases all the sediment that's been drawn up into them from the water.
You can see the red colour coming out onto his hands.
And it releases this lovely little red ochre colour.
So you have to scrunch it like quite hard to get a lot of red out, but it's a perfect time to do it because it's just been monsoon season, so in the summer it kind of all dries up and you can't get the red colour out of the leaves. Thank you to Josh for giving us that demonstration. I'm sure you guys will be happy now.
Welcome.
He's been in my video. Rock shelter number 12. See the paintings up here. I feel like they're a bit harder to see when they're in the reddy orangey colour because it kind of blends in with the rock. It's a big buffalo painted up there. Looks like some people riding on horses as well. Rock Shelter 15, also known as Boar Rock, and in my opinion this is the most interesting painting of all. There's this massive depiction of a buffalo, which they call a Boar here. I'm going to write it on the screen in case I'm pronouncing it wrong. But you see this massive buffalo in comparison to the tiny people and this one man that's running away being attacked by it. It's one of the largest paintings I've seen here. The rest seem to be relatively small, but that one is massive. And I think it's interesting to see because it's kind of like a warning to other people, like this will happen if you get too close to this animal, so don't go there. It shows a kind of insight into how they perceived these animals as well, because boars are big, but they are not as big in proportion to humans as they are in this picture. It shows how they've kind of blown it up in their minds and exacerbated it to prove just how big and scary these animals are to them. So as you go around, there are all of these kind of boards with information about the shelters on. So you wouldn't be totally lost without a guide. They tell you kind of what's depicted in the scene, what you can see here, but they don't give you information about like the significance of the images, about the date of the images, and how you can tell what date they are. So very much recommend getting a guide. I'm very glad that we did. It's actually the first place that we have got a guide for so far in India, and I think we wouldn't know like half the information we do now without that person telling us. So although there is a little bit of information along the way, it doesn't go into a lot of detail. And see, sometimes it can be hard to actually see where the paintings are on the rock without someone pointing it out. Like now, we're at rock shelter number 14. It tells us what we should be seeing, but without someone pointing it out, I would have no idea where to look for that image. So that was amazing. It was a great tour with the guide. And again, you can just go back around. You can kind of spend as long as you want here because there's no tickets. There's no one telling you can only spend an hour or so. Spend as long as you want, walk around, see the rock shelters and the cave paintings multiple times, explore it on your own after seeing the guide. I didn't know about this place. I never knew this place existed until about a month ago when I was looking at kind of interesting places to see in Madhya Pradesh. I want to see obviously more historical places, and this came up and I'm so glad that I found it. It's such a shame that it's kind of not that widely known about. Officially seen everything in here now, twice, and walking back to the bike. That was an amazing tour. I'm very glad we did that. Again, there's no tickets to get in here. Obviously if you're getting a guide to go around you have to pay them. But yeah, 100% you need to come here. When you're in MP, come to Bhopal, come to Bhimbetka rock caves and get the guided tour around. You will not regret it. You will learn so much, and to see some history that is so old as well, from some of the very first Homo sapiens to actually exist. It's insane. So glad that we came here.